Hello everybody, I am ChocolatierGames, and today I'm going to be talking about Day of Infamy. Day of Infamy was developed by New Reality Games, the same developers who brought you Insurgency, and was released on March 23rd, 2017. It is a realistic multiplayer FPS that takes place in a World War II setting. I'm going to very quickly talk about the versus competitive multiplayer. I personally do not play much in the way of multiplayer first-person shooters, the exception being Overwatch, so I do not have the skill to do well with the versus, but I noticed a few things. The game is obviously going for a realistic shooter vibe, but this really lessened the experience for me, as I would die after one or two shots. I wouldn't have a problem with this, except the game revives you after several are dead in the form of reinforcement deployments. The easy deaths and long wait times combine to make a frustrating experience for a beginning player, even if you know what you're doing. Now we're going to get on to the general specs and specifics of the game. The game artistically is pretty good looking. The graphics are not bad, maybe around 2014 era. Nothing too advanced, but effective, and they look fine. Fairly drab color palette, but you know, that's what you have to kind of expect from these realistic military shooters. The sound design is really where it shines, though. The sound design is some of the best I've seen in any game. The realistic sound effects and really high-quality voice acting performances from the soldiers stand out. One of my favorite small touches is when you're playing in, say, a German squadron, it still uses the German language, and some players may find that frustrating, but for me, that made it a bit more authentic and just improved the overall experience for me. The game uses a wheel callout system similar to the way Overwatch uses stuff like voice lines and emotes, and you can have your player yell out one of a few predetermined callouts. They're really good at directing players or requesting help. The gameplay itself is really good. You can play as one of several classes. You can play as the officer who gives orders to the other players, and if paired with a radio man, can call things like bombing runs, which really help in a fight. And the radio man who pairs with the officer to provide those, provided that he's standing near the officer. You can also get your standard rifleman and your machine gunner and your assault class and your engineer and all those. But one of the most interesting ones is the flamethrower character, the incendiary guy who really runs up there and encourages you to play very frantically and very fast-paced in an otherwise pretty slow-paced game. Some would say overpowered, but I think his playstyle and range makes him easily pickable by things like the sniper. I really enjoy the pace of the game. Some would find it to be too slow, but I personally think that the slow pace helps to allow for more coordinated movements and just overall makes the game a little bit of a better experience for me. The game doesn't include much music almost at all, and when there is music, it's usually in stuff like the menu, and it sounds fine, but there's really nothing significant about it and nothing unusual about it, so this doesn't really affect the game for me. The gameplay that I played mostly, which is what you're watching, is the cooperative mode, which has you and a few other players playing against waves and waves of bots in different scenarios. Like, you can be storming several points and capturing, or holding one point after waves and waves of enemies. And I really enjoyed this, and this was extremely fun for me. And I actually preferred this game over Insurgency, because Insurgency would have similar things, but I felt in this game it was better executed and a bit more fun overall. And overall, the game is fun and stands out from your average military shooter, but isn't exceptional. So, Day of Infamy earns itself a 6 out of 10 with a label of above average. If you enjoyed this review and want to hear others like it, consider supporting me on Patreon, where for just $1 or more per month you will receive bonus reviews. That is patreon.com/ChocolatierGames, and the link is in the description. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!